So, do you want to start off with one of yours?
Yeah, it occurs to me, by the way, that in the past 5 minutes, I just thought of 2 more. So it makes my list up to 10, I think, if I've done my maths correctly. If not, I have 9. But
okay, that's fine.
I'm like most of the way there. So this actually, my first one was released right at the beginning of 2017, and I almost forgot that it was released in 2017 because it feels like we haven't played it in like years. For Honor, For Honor was honestly it's made my top 10, and not only because I only had 10 games. Like if we'd included 2016, For Honor still would have been on the list because I loved that game. I thought the combat system was really cool and clever, although there were ways to exploit it. I thought that the campaign was kind of lackluster, but the online, it really shone. Like it was built for the online, and it really kind of came through. Obviously, you had to deal with some like trolley kind of people who would just, the second you get near an edge, they'd use the throw to throw you off the edge, and they wouldn't actually try and fight you. But you get the like other end of the spectrum where you would find somebody who really wanted to just like duel. Like there was a 1v1 duel mode and also a 2v2, which you and I played quite a lot of as a team. But those kind of people who played the duel mode as opposed to the like team-based stuff generally actually wanted to play the game how I think the creators wanted it to be played. Yeah. Where they actually, they tried to beat you by being the better at the game rather than just
skillful.
Yeah, rather than just cheesing some stage hazard. But I found it really fun. I definitely found like favorite classes. I thought the customization scheme, although there was a way to pay to get extra stuff, it didn't break the game. You couldn't really get much that affected stats. Like the stuff that did affect stats affected them in a kind of minor way. So it never felt like people who paid could actually pay to win. It was more just pay for an advantage kind of thing, and it was never noticeable. But yeah, I thought it was a really kind of well-balanced game, and I think if they hadn't put in so many ways to get thrown into stuff or off stuff that killed you, which really ruined their own combat system, I think it would have been higher on my list. But it was a really fun game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I knew that was going to make your list because, like, I actually feel kind of bad about that game because I really liked it, right, when we were playing it. But then very quickly I lost my patience with it. And the whole people trying to just get one-hit kills from jumping on you or throwing you off stuff or into spikes, it really did sour it for me. Which is annoying because I really liked the game and I also was looking forward to it for quite a long time. And yeah, so I stopped playing it, and then I think you did as well, and I was like, but you can keep playing it. Like I feel bad now.
We kind of have this knock-on effect on one another where if one of us isn't playing a game, the other one doesn't really want to, because like we play a lot of stuff together. Yeah. Like we generally play, especially if it's an online game, we play it in a party and we do all our matches and stuff together. So if one person isn't playing it, the other person like doesn't really want to.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like there was not enough content to keep me engaged with the game, I don't think, besides like the duel mode. And I have been thinking about going back to it lately.
Yeah.
Because there is just something about it. Like especially, if you were like in a 2-on-1 fight and you managed to block like every attack from the other two guys and still win the fight.
Satisfying.
Like it was an amazing rush when you actually managed to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one that kind of no other game has really kind of got me. It's not got me in the same way, but yeah, it definitely had its flaws, and I can see why we kind of stopped playing it after a little while.
Yeah. Super like regular Ubisoft problem, but also another thing with it was the connections and server issues were pretty terrible. Like just most of the time. We played it through a couple of patches and it never really sorted itself out.
No, it improved, but it never went away, kind of thing.
But no, completely understandable. I'm glad it made your list because I knew you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So my first point about Middle-earth: Shadow of War is that it's probably my biggest disappointment of the year, combined with maybe Outlast 2.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it had been better, but it still makes the list. I will chuck that in as my number 9.
Yeah. Because 2014, Shadow of Mordor was my game of the year. It was so good and I loved that game. They did not have to do very much to that game to make it a great sequel. All right, they had very few issues to deal with. but somehow they managed to screw it up. And I think I don't want to say it's because of rushing, but it maybe feels that way. Because basically they just made things bigger. They added a few new features, and the whole thing suffered because of the few changes that they made. Just even things down to like the first game was difficult through challenge and like gameplay, but this one wasn't even challenging. It was just annoying, and it found difficulty in annoying you. And also, I think the main reason that I didn't want to put it on the list and Ghost Recon was really edging at it was because of the sour taste that the second half of the game, which was basically the ending of the game, left in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, technically it was the third act, but the third act felt longer than the rest of the game.
Yes. Because I really liked the whole defense, attack, fortress thing.
Yeah.
But then when you have to defend over and over again, that many times in a row as well, it's no fun at all. And yeah, there were just like, I mean, the story, I feel like in Shadow of Mordor, you can laugh at it because you're like, oh, I know this isn't real. Gollum's in this. What are you doing? And like, you know it's not real, but you can kind of take it and be like, okay, I can buy it. The game is cool enough to work. But the story in this just felt like it had zero grounding whatsoever.
There's, I think, I want to say it was either videogamer.com or Kotaku.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I think it was Kotaku. Did an entire article which you can look up about how Shadow of War takes liberties with the lore. And the article is literally titled like that, like how Shadow of War takes liberties with the lore of this. Yeah. Yeah, you can look that up, but it really does, like, it feels like it has no actual basis or grounding in the series that it takes its inspiration from.
Just even, not even with canon stuff, just even with just characters and stuff, it's just so inconsistent. It was
so flat. Honestly, like, it's probably going to be my number 9 because I was as disappointed with it as you were. But just somehow, and I don't even know if the graphics in the cutscenes were that much upgraded from Shadow of Mordor, because I feel like compared to some other games on the market currently, they were really like pasty and kind of like not fully modeled.
Yeah. All had the same color palette as well.
Yeah, and it just meant that they all came across flat. You know, the voice acting, there was nothing wrong with it, but it's just, obviously besides the general standout performances from Troy Baker and Nolan North, which are always going to be good, there's nothing in terms of like other voice actors. They're all just really flat and boring.
Yeah.
It just killed the story for me because they didn't try that hard writing it, and then they didn't seem to try that hard actually putting it into effect. Which
is why I feel like it was maybe rushed in some way, especially with the whole, like, because I had heard so many rumors about it being in development for a very long time, and then you didn't hear anything until March when I was at yours, and then it got delayed, and then, you know, it was there. But I thought it was a bit strange. But also the Nemesis system as well. Such a cool thing from Shadow of Mordor. But again, somehow they managed to screw it up. Because, like, okay, you would come up against enemies in the last game, and you would work out cool ways to beat them, and they might create really cool moments, right? And they were challenging, sure, but you could really get the design from reading up on your opponent and be like, okay, I need to use this weapon, or I need to exploit this weakness. In this, the Nemesis system, like, produces ridiculousness. It's like enemies with no weakness, enraged by everything, no chance, and cheating death, so they just come back if you kill them anyway. And it's like, that isn't fun. That's just annoyance. You work hard so you can get over something, not so you have to do it over and over again.
Yeah, and also, like, I think they programmed it so that everyone has one of these, but you get, like, Blank the Unkillable. For me, it was Hoshgrish the Unkillable, and he was in the first area of the game. But it just felt like kicking a dog. Because every time this poor fucker would come up against me, I would behead him or set him on fire or, like, just feed him to one of my ally orcs. Like, I would not let him live. And every time he would come back. And I got to the point where I just branded him down to level 1 and then just left. because I was like, I'm sick of it. And it wasn't like an interesting way to use the Nemesis system. It wasn't funny. It wasn't clever. Like, if they'd done it once, it's like shocking. It's like, oh, wow, they've come back from the dead. But when they do it every time you return to the area, you just get sick of it, and it becomes a waste of a cool system.
Yeah. And
I think the one time that system surprised me was somebody I killed came back, and he had some dumb orc name, so don't quote me. But it was something the machine, and it was an orc that I had previously cut the limbs off, who came back, and he had like machine parts as like his arms and his legs, and I was like, oh wow, that's really cool, like, because I recognized the name, but it, like, literally he had like a hook for a hand and like metal legs, and I was like, that's actually a really cool way to do that. Like, he's clearly come back from being killed because like they fitted him with new limbs and all this. And it was like a really cool, like, the one time with the Nemesis system where someone came back and I was actually like, wow, it almost seems like there was thought put into that. But that's like the only time. And there was once in like a 40-hour playthrough or whatever.
Yeah, plus that. I mean, we both platinumed it. And just like, yeah, like, it is so disappointing because the gameplay at its core was still fun.
Yeah.
And just somehow it did not resonate at all because just of the little differences that they made, they didn't work out, which is a real shame.
So again, it's not very high on the list, but the Crash Bandicoot remasters.
Nice.
Which I'm still kind of slowly making my way through anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a priority for me. I played some on PodCoping, which
I definitely go check out.
Yeah, I've uploaded that. I kind of lose track of what I have and have not edited, but yeah, that was the first miniseries after Dishonored. But yeah, it's an entertaining game. You know, they've updated the looks drastically. Like, you can, if you think you know what the PS1 version looked like, you're wrong, and you should go back and look at it because it's absolute trash.
Yeah.
And then come back and look at it now, like the remaster. Like, they've done huge amounts of work with it. It's very cool.
Yeah, so much so I wouldn't even call it like a remaster. I'd call it a remake. Like, they completely remodeled the whole game.
Yeah, I think it was Vicarious Visions. They literally like ground up, rebuilt it basically. The first one is still shit hard. Like, it's disgusting. I've just moved into the second one, which is still difficult, but it's like, it does new stuff. You know, there's cool new bosses and things. And it's just, it never stopped being a fun game to me. Like, on the same level as Spyro and I guess Ratchet and Clank and games like that, where there's not much to it. It's what it says it is. It's a platformer, but it's a really cool game. And I was really happy when they remastered it because that was like my childhood one besides Spyro, because I never played Ratchet and Clank. I never played Jak and Daxter. I was all like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. So I was so excited when they remastered that. Yeah. So yeah, it makes the list. It's not super high, but it does make the list just because it hits that nostalgia high with me.
Yeah. I mean, it really looked fun. I never played the originals or the remaster, but it looked really fun when we were watching it, when we were playing it.
Yeah, I mean, you have the same, like, it's the same finicky issues you would have on the PS1 where just like controls are maybe a little bit loose and hitboxes aren't always 100% kind of where you think they are, but yeah, it is a remaster at the end of the day. They've really made it look fantastic, and they've kind of given the controls an update, but it is still based off a PS1 game, so you can kind of excuse those things a bit.
Yeah.
I guess for my next one, I will go with Ghost Recon.
Nice.
As a game, obviously we're playing it at the moment.
Yeah.
It kind of very much hits that Far Cry co-op thing, which we've spoken about, I think. Did we do it in our last like Games of the Year podcast, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
We spoke about Far Cry co-op at some point anyway. Maybe it was when we were talking about co-op games. But it's really fun to play with a friend, and you kind of have to play it like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a massive world, and it can be kind of a bit daunting at times because you look at it and you're just like, yeah, we're not making any progress.
No.
But it's the moment-to-moment stuff that makes it fun to play, where you're just like stealing a car off a civilian and one of you climbs into the trunk, or like, you know, I threw out a drone last night that blew up our helicopter and brought us down because he got trapped in the rotors.
Unprecedented turn of events.
Yeah. There's moments where like one of us will be aiming at an enemy and the other person will snipe them from like across the map, and just it's completely like irritating and unexpected, but it's what makes it funny to play with a friend as opposed to on your own. there's definitely complaints about the game. Like I say, the world is like far too daunting, really. I feel like despite the number of weapons we've found, almost none of them have been upgrades on what we're already using at like the opening of the game. And that's probably, again, just because of the size of the map. Like, we haven't made it to an area where there's good stuff, but definitely it's like a bit of an issue. And the vehicle controls could definitely be tighter on that game for sure. Like,
definitely camera stuff as well when you're driving anyway.
Sure. Yeah, like it does lead to some funny moments where you just like careen off the road and down a mountain, but it also then means you've set yourself back by like 10 minutes because then you have to find some way back up the mountain. So there's just pros and cons to that game, and I'm enjoying our time with it, but it's not the best version of that I've encountered. I would say probably Far Cry had it down a little bit better so far. Yeah,
definitely. I think as well, as you say, I 100% agree. The co-op is where it's at. Like, just taking a fortress and trying to be stealthy and being tactical in our own ways, and you know, watching it fall apart even is really fun. And that's where that game really shines. It does. I think for a third person, like, tactical shooter game, even the shooting controls could be maybe a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
They're just kind of a bit generic Tom Clancy, and they're still good. They're still fun. The sniping is really satisfying. But yeah, it just doesn't strike me like that should be its core mechanic, you know?
Yeah. Also, the skill tree is a little bit kind of disappointing. Like, there's a few things on there where you're like, oh yeah, I really want to do that. Or there's ones where you kind of feel like you have to, like, reduce bullet damage and stuff like that. But like, there's an entire section of the skill tree dedicated to AI teammates where it's like, your AI teammates take less damage or they give more damage. And it's like, well, how about you just have a standard, like, difficulty setting for the AI so you don't have to dedicate an entire section of the skill tree to people who want to play on their own. Like, it seems a bit harsh. And otherwise, it's a bit disappointing. It's like, you know, you pay 1 skill point to unlock flashbangs, and then the next 4 skill points on that section are get more flashbangs. Like, you just carry more of whatever item.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit kind of like they didn't think it through all the way.
Yeah, most of the upgrades are like drone ones. Those are the only interesting ones.
It's a fun game, and I'm enjoying our time with it, but I don't think we'll play it through to its conclusion at all.
I mean,
if I'm honest.
It's one of these weird games where I think it is too big.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, no one who likes to play quite a lot of games has time to finish that. And even if they do, I don't think they'd want to. By the end, it will probably get tiring, right? Like, it is that kind of thing. And it is a good game. It's just like, and I don't like calling games too big, but it kind of is. Ubisoft needs to quit it with this whole 4 times bigger than Rome situation.
Yeah, exactly. We have spoken about it before, where we've just said, like, size does not equal enjoyable in terms of gameplay. Yeah. Like, you can't just keep increasing the map size and expect people to be fascinated with how much extra stuff there is to do, because it becomes a chore. It's like, I need to tick this, and this off my list of things to do in this map. So
on you go.
Have a look. Yeah. I think next up, and this is actually a Switch game because Abby got it recently. I bought it for her for Christmas, but it came out in September. Fire Emblem Warriors.
Nice.
Because that is a Switch game, obviously based on like all the DS Fire Emblems, and I think it came out on 3DS as well, to be fair. But it's not a standard like RTS. It's not like you move characters on a grid kind of thing like the other Fire Emblems are. It's like almost a hack and slash game, kind of more like God of War.
Right.
But there's a PlayStation game that's similar. I want to say it's Dynasty Warriors, but I don't know for sure. But you fight like crowds of grunt enemies, basically, like literally 60 at a time kind of thing. And you kind of just carve through them with no extra bother. Kind of think For Honor almost, the like grunt soldiers where you would just kill them in one hit. It's kind of like that. And then there's like different captains and heroes and stuff that you fight throughout the story. But it's a really fun game because you get to play as all the different characters from all the Fire Emblem games. Like, they have tons of different characters from like the past 4 or 5 titles that you get to play as. And the upgrade systems and stuff work pretty much the same way as a standard Fire Emblem game, but you unlock stuff in a different way. And you actually get to play as the characters. Like, you get to be the one fighting rather than just pointing and shooting characters at somebody. You actually get to be the person who's attacking.
Yeah.
And unexpectedly, which I didn't realize when I bought it 4 apps, because I thought it was just going to be like a game for her to play, but it actually turned out it has co-op as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So annoyingly, you have to use the like tiny Switch controllers because I haven't got a Pro controller yet.
What are you talking about? Those are the best controllers ever.
Honestly, the Joy-Cons to use as like one controller are disgusting. But yeah, so you literally get it like split screen, so you can each play as a hero and you can just play through the map. And it's an amalgamation of lots of different games. It's like Dynasty Warriors, and it's kind of like Lord of the Rings Conquest and For Honor. It's like you just take control points and you have certain objectives that you have to kind of overcome. But really fun game. I think, to be honest, even you would like playing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Because especially as a co-op game, it really shines and there's lots of cool like added stuff. But definitely for fans of the series, I would recommend it if you have access to it, because it's different, but it incorporates a lot of the elements from the DS titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes it onto the list because literally only played it like over Christmas, but it's just so much fun. And for anyone who's played like a hack and slash game, so like God of War or Bayonetta, anything like that, pick up the controls really quickly because it has those very standard, like, this button is a light attack, this button is a heavy, this button's special, and then you can like do different combos and stuff. So yeah, really good fun. Having a good time with it so far. And every time I go back to hers, she's played more maps and unlocked more stuff for us to play together. So
that's cool.
Complete joy, to be honest.
Yeah, no, because again, I said it last year when you mentioned a Fire Emblem game, but I've never played a Fire Emblem game, so I can't really comment on them. But I'm glad.
No, I'm
glad you like them.
I would say if you wanted to ever experience kind of what the characters are like, it would be a good game for you. Yeah, it's super accessible because you can direct characters using the map, like, because you play as a character and then there's like 4 or 5 other playable characters just on the map with you, and they'll do their own thing. They have AI, but you can then also choose to direct them on a grid map like the original games. So it's a really clever blend, but it's really good fun. It got quite good reviews as well. I think it was mostly like kind of 7s and 8s.
That's cool.
Which, for a game that is kind of a bit derivative, it's kind of an in-between title for Fire Emblem. It's really good fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so my number 8 is one that, again, we've both played. Tekken 7.
Oh, yeah.
So, I love the Tekken games. I've always been a fan of them since, like, Tekken Tag Tournament on PS2, and I, after that, played some of the earlier Tekken games. But it's just such a great fighting game. It feels so good. And I love that you can pick it up out of nowhere and feel quite good at the game, but then also study it and study the hundreds upon hundreds of moves and combos and also be really good at it that way. Because I feel like you don't get that in a lot of fighting games. You either get one or the other, where you really have to study up, or it's just button mashing. And getting a mix is really difficult. So I'm happy they keep doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Because I love that game.
Yeah.
It's actually higher on
that one as well.
Yeah, it's higher on my list, but it is on my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both got the platinum, and I actually went for the platinum only because I was just having so much fun with it. Like, because I've stopped trophy hunting so much as if I enjoy a game that much, I kind of want to, because it's like almost kind of paying homage to the game. It's like you've actually earned what I'm doing with you right now. But yeah, like, I had a favorite in Lucky Chloe, who I think is a bit of a kind of beginner character anyway, but it's exactly what you say, where I started playing her and it was just like mashing different combinations of square and triangle and then different combinations of circle and X to see like what different punches and kicks she actually had. And I could fully get through a match like that, but then I went into the training mode because I had to anyway for one of the trophies, and I was messing around as her and I was looking through all the different things and I was like learning as I went. I was like, oh, well, this is kind of button mashing, but kind of like in an order. Like it doesn't expect a great deal of you to learn the simple combos, which I love. Because obviously, if you want to be like mastering every 10 hit combo every character has, you're going to have to put practice in. But if you want to just get a baseline that will let you kind of perform if you're fighting against somebody else, the game still allows for that. And it's still like, all right, well, here's some 5 or 6 button combos that really kind of, if you string them together in the right order, will let you get through a match.
Yeah.
I just love it. And, the story mode led to some interesting moments.
Yeah.
It kind of didn't have to be in the game, but obviously every Tekken has some kind of story-based kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was, it was fun. It let you play as all the different characters, and there were all the side stories as well, which were entertaining, if a little bit pointless.
Yeah. I mean, like, you were really good at that game, and especially with Lucky Chloe. But what I really liked about that is a lot of the time when we're fighting games and stuff, we mix around the characters and we try different ones out. And I really liked that in Tekken 7, each character did feel really, really unique. Each moveset was different. Each, combo is really unique as well. And you could really settle on which ones you liked. Because I've played as Hwarang so much in other Tekken games, I kind of stuck to that. But, there were other really great characters in there. The only problem that I have with it is a lot of the time, I don't want to say it encourages like spamminess or like stun locking, but a lot of it, when you do study up, kind of leans towards it almost. A lot of like stun locking and juggling and
yeah, I mean, there was one instance, because there's a few online trophies and none of them are really too harsh, to be fair, but there was one, I think, just for like beating somebody in an online match, and it couldn't be like a custom one. It had to just be like ranked matchmaking. But I first try went up against someone who was playing as Law, and he literally has an ankle kick and then a cartwheel kick, and the guy literally was able to spam just one after the other, and it would like, the ankle kick stopped me from attacking, and then the cartwheel kick knocked me off my feet, and he would just do the same thing, like ankle kick, cartwheel, over and over and over again, until I was knocked out. And I landed like maybe 4 hits in 2 rounds, and I was fuming. And it's a problem with the online community. And then, it's every online game where you're up against other people. They find ways to exploit it and ruin it for everyone else. But yeah, those people would probably just say they're playing the game to win, and you're not taking it in the right way, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you also probably have to mention, we have talked about it in a previous segment, but the Akuma fight as well. Also I think probably my mini award that I'm going to do right now is the worst trophy of the year, and it goes to that one in Tekken 7 where you have to get, what was it, like 50,000 in practice mode. Complete garbage. And I'm almost annoyed at myself for doing it.
Literally all I did to get that trophy, I can't remember what the moves are called, just the special moves, the R1 moves.
Rage attack or something? Yeah,
they do like a set amount of damage, and depending on your health and the opponent's health, they do a different amount. So I just set the opponent's health to being low, and then set my rage meter or whatever to always be on. And I just literally, I watched a podcast and I just mashed R1 constantly until I got the trophy for that, because it was just like worthless.
Yeah.
And it didn't at all ruin the game for me, but it was the last trophy I think I got, because it was just a waste of time. And yeah, the Akuma fight as well. I get what they were trying to do. And actually, I think they released a Street Fighter game recently where you have to fight like a buffed up version of him.
Yeah, I think Heihachi might be in the next Street Fighter, because they're really going for that collab thing.
But apparently he's a complete dick to fight in that as well. But yeah, he was awful to fight in Tekken 7, and I only won it because I looked up a video on how, and I literally copied the video like movement for movement. But
yeah, I mean, I moved down the difficulty and I barely managed to do it. So in no way did that ruin the game for me, but it did kind of, in getting the trophies, it was a little bit of a kick in the nuts kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. Okay, my number 7 is Call of Duty World War II.
Woo!
Another one that we both played. So
definitely on my list.
It's my first Call of Duty game in quite a while, actually. I really liked it, actually. I think it might be the COD game that I'm best at, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that's fair.
But for some reason, I was actually quite good at that game, Because usually I'm like kind of the top quarter when I play online of people on the team, and you're always up there at the top. But a lot of the times I was up there with you and maybe like nudging up to top position.
I mean, there were times when I was like bottom of the leaderboard and you were the top. Like we were doing a reverse bookend.
Yeah, our usual bookend is the other way around. I'm always at the bottom and you're at the top.
Yeah, it was a really fun return to form for the series, because it got very away from them in a kind of Titanfall-esque way, where it was just like jump packs and anti-gravity and, floating grenades and a bunch of like really unnecessary stuff to the genre, which, to be fair, is what made me really good at them, because
you're good at the Twitch stuff.
Like, yeah, really fast-paced. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But I think this game is a very good like middle ground, because
I think so.
It slowed the combat down quite a lot, but it hasn't taken much out at the same time.
What I really like is in the pacing, it has slowed it down because it's slower compared to like the double jumps and everything that you've had, but it's got like an almost hardcore mode base mode, and it's like you don't have to pump an entire magazine into someone to kill them. Like it's still fast paced when you actually get to the action, and I really, really like that. And also like it made sniping fun again, and obviously that comes with issues because you get people who only snipe and like quick scope and everything, and that's terrible. But actually using it as a sniping game is really fun, and I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, I think honestly they probably took some pointers from Battlefield, because the damage system is more similar now. Like as you say, you have to put less bullets into somebody. There's not many, but there is a map, the Gustav Cannon, where long range combat is kind of encouraged, as opposed to kind of previous titles in the series where you're going to use a sniper, but you're going to use it at close range. Yeah. Like in this game, you actually can use the sniper at range for once, which is nice.
Yeah, I wish there were more maps and more maps like that, but
yeah, that'd be a
like
criticism
7 or something.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8. It's a very small rotation of maps, and I refuse to purchase extra maps for stuff like that. It's like you didn't put them in the base game. I'm not going to play your game for longer. Yeah, like that's on you, not me, kind of thing. It was really fun. The campaign was interesting. I feel like they tried to do something kind of another return to form, because they brought back like a health system, so you actually had to keep an eye on how your health was doing, and you had medkits and stuff. Yeah. And they kind of tried to make it squad based, because you have different abilities that different squad members have and whatever. But I think a lot of that kind of stuff kind of missed the mark, because like the health system specifically, if you got caught on a difficult checkpoint and you had low health, it brings you back with the same amount of health, which just like if you get stuck on a difficult checkpoint, really ruins you. And it kind of does ruin the experience a little bit, especially if you're playing on a higher difficulty.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, if you get stuck on one checkpoint, that's you done, basically. Like, you either have to restart the level, or you have to just keep trying different stuff until something sticks. So I feel like the campaign didn't hit the mark necessarily for me, but it had some cool moments.
I completely agree. Like, I don't think it resonated as much as they wanted it to. And, as much as they might try and say otherwise, the main focus of a COD game isn't the campaign, it's the multiplayer.
No.
But it was a good campaign. Like, it had some fun moments. I really liked when they did different things with it. There was that one mission in Paris that was, you hardly held a gun, and it was like, yes, this is something different, and it really works.
Yeah, it was clever, and I did enjoy it. I feel like the staple of COD games in the past, like, almost decade has been their set pieces. So, like, in Modern Warfare, you had, riding the back of a truck and shooting out the back of it. And, you had, like, free running over the top of the favelas and all that. And there was really cool moments where you weren't actually shooting enemies. It was just what you were doing. It felt like you were an action hero kind of thing. And I felt like that was lacking from this campaign. And I feel like maybe they wanted to try and portray World War II in a kind of authentic way, almost. Yeah. But it just meant that
Brothers thing.
Yeah, but I didn't necessarily feel like a hero. I just felt like part of a squad, which isn't always a bad thing, but I don't know. I feel like the set pieces could have used some work, because especially like the driving sections, like when you're driving alongside the train, a bit lackluster. They didn't control that well. Kind of felt a bit shoehorned in. But
I always loved driving in first-person shooter games. Never works. Never.
It just never does. And like you can pretty much just do whatever you want and you still go from point A to point B, you know, within reason. So
yeah. Also, one last thing about it. For some reason, the menus in multiplayer are dire. Like they're so bad.
Garbage.
They're so difficult to navigate, and it's just unnecessary. And I guess that they added the, like, what is it called again? The little not forum place, but like, you know,
headquarters.
That's the one. Headquarters. Yeah. I like that they added that. It's quite cool, but it makes the menus really difficult to just navigate for anything.
I think just a lot of what they put in the online, and not all of it by any means, but a lot of it was, you want to go and buy this to get this kind of thing. Because obviously they had the loot boxes, which you could literally open in front of people. And you even get, I think, an XP bonus for watching somebody open loot boxes. And like lots of the uniforms and special gun skins and stuff you had to unlock. And there was an entire caravan where weapon skins, I don't know if they've been introduced yet, but they had like special weapon or something coming soon. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that's definitely going to be like a pay for it kind of situation.
It always is.
But it just meant that all the menus were really complicated because you had to navigate past what you were and were not allowed to access based on how much money you paid, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, but it was a good game. Really enjoy playing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't necessarily think we're done with it. We just kind of took a break from it. But
yeah. Well, Thomas stole your copy.
Yeah, true. He still has it. But yeah, fun game.
Yeah. What, are you on number 5 now?
To be fair, because a lot of our numbers have been the same, I'm like practically on number 2 at this point.
Oh wow, okay.
It's fine. I'll shoehorn some extra stuff in. But
that's fine.
I would say, and I'm only putting it kind of this high up the list because I have not played much of it yet. Yeah. But Super Mario Odyssey has to be on the list, I think. And it's definitely on there for you. I'm excited to see kind of what number it is. But
yeah.
Just what I've played of it so far, they introduce everything to you in a really clever way. Like, even the first little area, the like dinosaur waterfall area where you play, it's just like, no sooner has something been introduced and they're like, all right, I hope you had fun with that because we're moving on to something else. Because like literally in the first area you control like Chain Chomp and then you move on to like a T-Rex, which is so cool and like it's such an exciting moment when you see it sleeping at the top of the hill and you're like, ooh, can I? And like, you can because you've seen it in the trailer, but it's still so exciting to then like actually throw the cap and become the dinosaur. And
I'm pretty sure the first one is like the frog, right? And even that,
you become the frog in like the ghost world.
It's ridiculously fun. It's like I'm playing
so
as a
funny.
Frog that has a mustache, and this is the most like fun I've had in any game.
And like, it's so funny that like existential crisis that Mario goes through when he's like falling through the vortex into the animal, and you just like see it for the first time, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fantastic fun. The like desert world. It's kind of like the first proper open world. It's like the first like go forth and just see what happens kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I literally the other day at Abby's house, because it's her Switch that I'm playing it on, I played for like 4 hours and I found like 41 moons before I moved on to the next world. Like, it's disgusting how much stuff there is to do and how little you actually want to move on to the real objective because you're having so much fun just exploring. And I'm sure you probably have more to say about it because
I'll wait until later on.
Yeah, you've completed it, but I'll leave it to you kind of when you get your chance. But I'm extremely excited to play more because I've just got to like the second proper world, like the foresty world, and I'm extremely psyched to carry on with it because it's just everything. Like every new area, there's a different mechanic and there's something new to try, and it's got that like classic Mario, and like it harkens back all the way to like older consoles where
the 2D sections.
Yeah, there's little 2D sections that you can run through, and you know, all the sound effects take you back, and it's just like, it's nostalgia, mixed with like actual innovation, which is the best way you can do that kind of thing. And I absolutely am loving it so far.
Same. I adore that game, and I will talk about it at length when I get to it on my list.
Yeah, I've got one more before my top one because I remembered one that came out at the beginning this year.
Okay.
And actually, I didn't mean for it to be this high up my list, but actually, it completely deserves it.
Yeah.
Human Fall Flat.
Yes.
It came out on PS4 this year.
And I was gutted that it came out into 2016.
Yeah, nah, it came out on PS4 in 2017. It was on PC in 2016.
Yeah.
But yeah, it released on consoles in 2017, so it still technically counts.
Yep.
And that game was so funny.
It is. It's so good. I want to play more of it.
Same. I want to go back and replay it now that we've had space away from it. Because the first time we played it, to be fair, you and I played it literally beginning to end in one sitting so that I could get the speedrunner trophy. And it was arduous by the end. It got really like, we got angry at each other. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. My room was like a lava volcano bullshit. Like it was so hot in there. Yeah, like I had work the next day as well, so I was an insane person.
Yep.
But yeah, so like we played the entire way through it. It's just so fun. It's like almost realistic physics, but kind of like with floppy human sprites. And it's a 3D puzzle platformer. Like you just jump around the stage and find ways to progress. And it's a really, really simple concept. And it was made by a really kind of indie small studio, but it's just so much fun. You can do a lot of funny stuff, and there's secrets to uncover and different places you can go. And it's the first time in a while where I played a game that doesn't really have violent content, and I've just completely adored it. Like there's not a way to like even attack anybody. There's no weapons in the game. There's nothing like that. It's literally just you, and if you want to play co-op, a buddy playing through the world. And the most you can do is throw each other off as a joke, and you immediately spawn back in. It's not like you get any punishment for it, but it's just so fun. It allows for so much like kind of imaginative gameplay because it presents you with a puzzle and it basically says, all right, figure out how to do it. And there's so many stupid solutions you come up with that turn out not to be the right one, but you have so much fun trying to get them to work anyway. It's really good fun, and it actually definitely makes my top 10, and easily it comes like second or third on the list overall because it was that much fun for me playing through it, and I absolutely want to go back to it.
Yeah. I think our like nickname for that game should be Gasp Simulator because from non-stop when we were playing that, it started out as like a sarcastic like, oh, that's so cool, but then the more we got into it, we would honestly just gasp every 5 seconds at what we were doing. We were like, oh my god.
Yeah. And it's actually like it's persisted into other games now, but it originated in that where like for instance, one of us would lift up like a rock and run at a wall, just be like, I'm gonna break through, and then we actually would, and just be like, oh, we did it. And just like that little like like that stupid gasp, it became like an actual running joke between the two of us, and it became so much like a part of how we played. Was like, what are we going to do next that makes us gasp in that stupid way? Yeah,
no, it is so enjoyable. I love that game, and I do want to play more. I did make sure that it was 2016 that it came out, and that's why it's not on my list. But also, can you believe this? Gang Beasts came out in 2014.
Again, that is on PC, but
yeah.
It came out. It was in early access as well, even before that. But yeah, then it moved into actual release in 2014, and then it didn't come out properly on consoles until beginning of this year.
Yeah. But yeah, Human Fall Flat is brilliant.
All right, we're kind of onto my nearlies and my like near misses of this year now, because I don't want to go straight to my number one.
Okay.
So I'll go through a list of either games that I didn't play and I wanted to, or games that I played last year but or played recently that have not actually released in 2017.
Yeah.
So obviously a big one for both of us recently is Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
Because I think that was actually
I think it's 2015 or so.
I think that was a 2015 release, but we both got it free Yeah?
Yeah, it's free to play on PlayStation Network.
Yeah, we got it on PS Plus. And just a really decent like Smash clone. Unfortunately, because of like the way they released it and kind of the format and the fact that they're an indie studio, they had to release it in a way that you don't have access to all the characters all the time. And also the weapon system was a little bit kind of limited, only because a lot of characters use the same kinds of weapons. But really good fun, even to play one-on-one. Like, it's really manic. There's a lot of skill involved, even though there's a very kind of limited move set.
Yeah.
An interesting cast of characters. You know, we played as most of them now.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that they all obviously use similar weapons and whatever, they all have really distinct skins and designs. And even the way they use the weapons is different. All the special
variations on the same weapon is actually really good.
Yeah, it's hugely kind of innovative in terms of what they do with kind of what they have. A lot of fun game modes as well. Kind of the main ones we play are just the standard Brawl and then Brawl Ball, which is kind of like rugby or American football.
It's like rugby, but
yeah,
you can hit each other and like you have to get over some platforms and there's an end zone. It's surprisingly fun.
Yeah, it's incredibly like manic and funny, and you create a lot of kind of fun moments just by kind of playing it out and seeing and experimenting with different things. But obviously, that released like 2 years ago. It's only because we've literally experienced it in the past month that I'm bringing it up. But very good fun, and I would recommend it if you have not already played it, because it's probably, if you can't get it free still on PS Plus, you can still get it cheap.
Yeah,
so definitely take a look.
Yeah, it's definitely worth taking a look at, because it's one that you can play with other people. It's one of those fighting games, when I was talking about Tekken 7, you can just pick it up and just play it. And then you can also just get really good at it. But it's just so fun.
Moving on to my next near miss of 2017, because it released technically at the beginning of 2018. On console anyway, Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
Because this wouldn't...
G-B-E-S-T-S.
Exactly. To be fair, if it had released in 2017, it would have been like number 9 or 10, because it definitely has its issues.
Oh, for sure.
But, just incredibly fun game. It's very human fall flat in its presentation. You play as a kind of goopy humanoid figure, but you've got like a kind of a tubbier midsection and like stubby limbs. Yeah. But you literally
slightly differently.
Yeah, but the like basic premise, like the main mode, is you spawn into an arena with like 7 other people, and the objective is to knock somebody out and toss them off the stage. And there's lots of different stages and different attacks and whatever, but it's very basically you just punch someone in the face until they get knocked out, and then throw them off a building or a truck or a bridge or whatever you're on. But yeah, we've just started playing it because it just came out on consoles, and the servers are like shockingly bad.
They're very, very bad.
And to be fair, it is an indie game and it is already on PC, so they obviously have quite a lot of different things to maintain now that they've released on consoles as well. But it's like almost inexcusable at times when it will take you 4 or 5 attempts to make it into a match, because the countdown will finish. It will say, you're going into a match now, and then you'll be on the loading screen, and it'll be like, jokes, you didn't make it in.
Yeah.
And it does it to you all the time. But the gameplay is hilarious enough, and the costumes and everything are really customizable, and it's just the presentation of it and the soundtrack even, it's all just like so entertaining and kind of, it's obvious they were going for something that's just like fun and you can just drop in, drop out whenever you want, and it definitely comes across that way. But it's a really good fun game, especially to play with somebody. Like, I would not recommend getting it if you're playing it only on your own, but playing it with somebody is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And to add to that, the connection issues are, they just are unbelievable. I know it came out in 2014, but in 2018 now, to have to put up with like us being in a party, trying to do a match, just the 2 of us, and it saying the connection was lost. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah,
Come
like
on.
Both of us with the stable connection, they just can't set up the server to then let us play.
Yeah.
But
when you do play it, it's so fun.
Yeah. The gameplay nearly redeems it, but not enough for it to,
Yeah.
Like you don't want to sit and play it for hours at a time because you get so frustrated just trying to get into games.
Yeah. And I think I prefer the controls to Human Fall Flat, but it still works definitely in Gang Beasts.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a similar presentation, but they are very different kinds of games, so it's hard to kind of necessarily compare them all the way.
Yeah.
Another kind of near miss, this time just a game I didn't have the chance to play.
Yeah.
Was, it's now escaping, Neo.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if anyone doesn't know, was kind of a samurai take almost on basically the Dark Souls genre.
Yeah.
Which it kind of is at this point. Like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, I don't know necessarily if you can class them as anything except Dark Souls genre, because it's very specifically like it's about the difficulty and how you overcome it kind of thing. Because I played the demo for Neo back in, must have been either very early 2017 or 2016, kind of end of
2016 probably.
Yeah, because they released a beta on the PlayStation Store. And it was very much that kind of game, and I really enjoy the Dark Souls series.
Yeah.
And I, to my shame, didn't even complete the demo of Neo because it was just really difficult, and I got distracted by other stuff. But it released beginning of 2017, and I really wish I had kind of had the chance and the time to play it because it looked really fun. And you know, the combat was that kind of like, it's almost a criticism, but it's not, of Dark Souls, where you basically have to pick a weapon near the beginning of the game, and it's a bit of kind of a criticism because you literally have to pick a weapon and then just stick with it because you don't have time mid-game to learn a new weapon. Which is obviously not necessarily what you want, because if they're still introducing you to new stuff and you're just not able to use it, it's a bit of a complaint. But Neo did seem to do it in a cool way where just in the demo itself, I was able to play with, you know, a sword and then a spear and then an axe. And it kind of gave you the chance to try out all the different weapons. And it seemed like they were definitely doing cool stuff with it and cool stuff with the combat.
It looked really cool.
And the art style was very cool as well. I quite liked that kind of...
Yeah.
They had a lot of kind of Japanese oil painting almost stuff kind of going on, which was very interesting. But yeah, I was not able to actually partake in it, which is a shame. I might still go back to it at some point, but
it's probably cheaper now, so...
Yeah, it definitely will be, but yeah, I don't even know how it reviewed. I assume it reviewed kind of standard.
It did really well.
Yeah.
Because it was originally supposed to be, well, I say that, it's by the creators of Ninja Gaiden, and I think it was originally supposed to be like a 3D Ninja Gaiden game, and then they just turned and did something else because they were like, no, we want like a new IP, and it turned out great. Everyone I've heard talk about it has really enjoyed it, so...
Well, yeah, I would love to go back to it, but, you know, just more and more games drop onto my plate, and I really have to kind of pick and choose at this point what I'm able to actually experience for myself.
Okay. Drum roll for Olly's Game of the Year for 2017.
Ooh. So, actually, and we've already covered it a little bit, but it actually surprised me that this ended up being my Game of the Year.
I'm surprised as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in Mario mode.
I'm surprised. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn has ended up being my number one game of the year. Woo! And literally even an hour ago, looking over my list, I was not convinced that it would end up being.
Yeah.
But out of the games I played, and just out of any game that was released this year, it just did so much, and it was so, you know, graphically like beautiful, and the controls were tight. Like you never like reached for the wrong button. You always knew just what button to press in the moment without really needing to think about it. And Aloy as a character was so interesting and so deep, and just the story was interesting. I didn't enjoy it so much when I played it, and now looking back, I'm like, God damn, that was a good game.
This is your dying light.
It really is. It truly is.
This is your dying light.
I didn't want to play it basically at all. I had no interest in it when it got released. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's another like third person, you know, RPG shooter type situation. And actually having played through it and kind of being done with it now, I'm looking back, and it was actually such an enjoyable experience. like the story, especially the first act, but obviously moving forwards anyway, you know, you see Aloy grow up, you see her relationship with Rost, you see kind of how that breaks down and then how it almost repairs itself, and you get the tragedy when, you know, spoiler alert, you get the tragedy when Rost is then killed and how Aloy has to kind of deal with that and move on, and like really it was coming of age, but set in such an interesting way and amongst such kind of an interesting cast of characters, and in such like a vibrant world. Yeah, actually looking back, it was just, there was so much good stuff about it.
Yeah.
To be fair, probably the combat was my least favorite thing about it.
Fair enough.
Because given that is really what the point in the game is you go out and you hunt machines and everything else is kind of secondary to that. Besides fighting kind of the most basic machines, I just found it a complete chore because it was basically, you know, you blast off X and Y on each thing. You maybe grab a weapon that you've blown off them to then kill them, or you just have to keep hammering away until all their armor's off and then you shoot them and whatever. It was very kind of rinse and repeat with every single machine. It was find their weak spot and keep hitting it until they die. Yeah. And that's really why I ended up not loving it while I was playing it, was just because I felt a little bit tired by the end of the combat. But the way it was presented and the story specifically was so interesting. Graphically, as I said, just beautiful. It really, like, I don't know if maybe if I played Breath of the Wild, if they would have come up against each other, but as it stands, that was definitely just the most kind of perfectly complete game that I've played this year. Yeah. No, it's totally understandable. Having played it to completion, yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. You should go back and get the platinum, because I got the platinum. See, like, I absolutely would. I don't even know if it's still on my, to be fair, but yeah, it was just some of those finicky tasks. It was just like go and, you know, befriend everyone before you hit the final battle and stuff like that. I was just like, yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree. When you say it's beautiful, I think it is the most visually stunning game of the year, for 100%. Absolutely, yeah. It's just like it's the screenshot simulator. Like you'll take so many screenshots, and the photo mode is actually fun. I'm not a huge fan of photo modes in games, I have to admit, but we had a lot of fun with photo mode in that. Yeah, photo mode does so much for it. But even like, you could be crouched down in just a field and you could get a decent screenshot out of it without touching the photo mode. Yeah. And even, you know, in motion, like how, you know, the long grass that you hide in, how it sways in the wind, and how the animals like interact with one another, and how they interact with the environment. Aloy's hair, even. Yeah. Honestly, though, like it's, yeah, everything about it just is gorgeous. Yeah, and I like what you said about how Aloy is such a really deep character, because I actually wrote an article when I was playing it about just that. She's a great feminism character for me, because it's not, this is a female character, this is a character who happens to be female, and she's so accessible for anyone who wants to play the game, and more characters should strive to be that way. It is just a brilliant game, and I do feel really bad for it in a lot of ways, because come award season, it's been like swept under the rug a lot of the time. It's been just underrated, and Zelda's just kind of blown it out of the water, and it's a shame because it is so good. But I'm really looking forward to the next step in that franchise, because I know it's going to be good. Yeah, definitely. I cannot stress enough how important it is that Aloy was not just like a minority character presented as such, because honestly, like apart from some really like clumsy flirting attempts right at the very beginning of the game with his name now escapes me, the guy with the mohawk, who like makes a pass at you as soon as you meet him, and Aloy basically tells him fuck off. Literally, she schools people. She's like, I'm not interested. But like, almost no mention of her even being a woman is made in that game. And when it is, she literally says to everybody's face, she's like, I'm so busy avenging the death of my father figure and finding out who I am. I don't have time for this. Yeah. And she full on just tells people that to their face. Like even the Sun King, she's like, yeah, it's great that you're interested in me, but I'm not interested in you, kind of thing. Yeah. And I so well done. Adore that, and I think that's the most important thing about that game, is how they presented her. Yeah, and that's probably one of the main reasons that it will stick with me, and I will really love it.
because it's a brilliant game. It really is.
Yeah.